You are Locked On Ole Miss, your daily podcast on the Ole Miss Rebels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
So one of the things that I'm interested in the Georgia State game for is which offensive player is going to come out of seemingly nowhere to kind of flash. Who are the players that are going to be on the tip of every member of the fan base's tongue after that game? Who are they going to be? And I started thinking about it. And we all know the Austin Simmons, the Deshaun Striblings, Harrison Wallace, Caden Lee, Kewan Lacey, Logan Diggs. We all know those names. But who are the surprises that afterwards you're like, well, I knew about that guy going into it, and everybody else is like, that's so cool. I wish I could be much more of an Ole Miss fan like you. Seriously, that could happen, right? That's the way that works, right? So the surprise performers in this game, I'm basing this off of spring practice or fall practice, fall camp. I'm basing it off spring camp, spring practice, and I'm basing it off a hunch, essentially, to get my opinion on who to look for to flash going into this game. I think we're about 9 days out. We are in single digits, and there's going to be a football game between the Ole Miss Rebels and the Georgia State Panthers. So when you look at these offensive players, it's not going to be a total surprise, but it is going to be a little bit of a surprise because when you look at that wide receiver room, it's pretty crowded. And one of the names I think is going to stand out and flash in that game is Izaiah Hartrup, the wide receiver out of Missouri State, I think, or Southeast Missouri. One of those, he came from the FCS level. I think it was Southeast Missouri. Ended up with 51 catches, 706 yards, and 6 touchdowns in 2003. In 2004, he transferred to Ole Miss and was injured and missed most of the season. But in the spring and in fall camp, he has constantly flashed. He is one of my most heard names that anybody has talked about. Listen, Lane Kiffin, when you have a young player or somebody out of nowhere, he has no problem with playing you. I've always talked about Lane Kiffin's best strength as a football coach is roster building. And part of that is playing the guys that need to be played. There's no seniority. There's none of this extra stuff. If you're good enough to get on the field, you're good enough to get on the field. And Ole Miss's wide receiver unit this season is going to be the deepest it's been in the Lane Kiffin era in Ole Miss. Maybe the deepest it's been in the one platoon era going back to like 1963, the last time Ole Miss won an SEC championship. But that is because Lane Kiffin is always building. He's trying to raise the ceiling of this Ole Miss team, but he's also trying to raise the floor. So if it's a good player that is better than what he has, he always takes them. That's the reason there's 30 and 40 transfers every single year. They're trying to raise the floor, raise the ceiling, both at the same time. And Izaiah Hartrup is a guy that is a perfect encapsulation of that mindset. He is somebody that is expected to come in and compete for a legit job. Izaiah Hartrup, I was told, was returning punts in the first scrimmage. I do not know if he was in the second, but in the first, he was returning punts. And every time they talked about him in fall camp, it's like, hey, Izaiah Hartrup flashed today. Izaiah Hartrup flashed today. And whether it's Austin Simmons at quarterback or Trinidad Chambliss or AJ Maddox, Izaiah Hartrup has always been there, always is making plays. So I expect in the first game, he is going to get run. There was a young little wide receiver out of Texas. The name has left my mind, but he had a fall camp to where he kept showing up. He got into the first couple of games, did not perform, and that was kind of the end of him. But he got the opportunity as the point. So I think Izaiah Hartrup is going to get an opportunity to be a guy in the wide receiver room. You know, forget about Deshaun Stribling, Caden Lee, and Harrison Wallace, and Deuce Alexander, and Traylon Ray. I think Izaiah Hartrup, the FCS guy, will be the one that gets on field and will be there and have plays presented for him. If he can make them, we are all going to be very excited. But if he's doing this in fall camp, the odds are he's going to do it on a game field as well, especially as an upperclassman. You're not dealing with a true freshman kind of coming up and having to deal with 70,000 people in the stands. Isaiah's used to playing in front of people, so we'll see exactly how it goes. Now, the second player that I'm talking about today is also pretty buried on the depth chart, but injuries have provided him an opportunity. The starter is Daquan Wright. That's without doubt. In the Gator Bowl, he absolutely showed out. Jackson Dart, the whole 9 yards. He's going to have a monster type year. But you had Luke Haas injure his foot. He'll be back. They're hoping for the LSU game. You have Caleb Odom, who got rolled up on earlier in fall camp, a little bit slow coming back, but he's going to come back, which means a solid backup that is going to have an opportunity is this player, and that is Trace Bruckler. The tight end transfer out of the University of New Mexico. He ended up with 22 catches, 138 yards, 2 touchdowns. Dampier was his quarterback, very much a running system under Bronco Mendenhall. But when you look at what they did and how it translates, you didn't really expect him to have a big fall camp. You didn't expect Trace Bruckler to be one of the names that stood out. But the steadiness and the upperclassmen, he made play after play after play. And Trace Bruckler is a weapon in the red zone. He's an excellent blocker. He's a true inline tight end in the vein of Caden Priest Corn. This is a player that is going to help the Ole Miss Rebels. I do not know how many passes he's going to catch, but I think he's going to play. And he is going to be the reason that they're able to do 12 personnel. We always talk about 12 personnel. Again, if you've seen my show probably more than twice, you know I talk about 12 personnel just incessantly, almost annoyingly. But Trace Bruckler and Daquan Wright at 12 personnel is something that can absolutely happen. Add Caleb Odom. You can still run a little 13 personnel, and one Luke Haas comes back. Obviously, you can incorporate that. The tight end room at Ole Miss is unbelievably healthy. Unbelievably healthy. And that should have everybody excited about what is going on there. Really big moment for the Ole Miss Rebels. In our final segment, FanDuel's win total projections are out, and after a quick look at the Ole Miss schedule, we're about to smash the over. We'll break down why. That and Ole Miss trivia next. If you're running a business, every missed call is money left on the table. The last time you needed service, right? If the first person didn't answer, did you wait? Probably not. You moved on. That is why you need Open Phone. You never miss an opportunity to connect with your customers. Open Phone is the #1 business phone system designed to streamline and scale your customer communications. Do you juggle 2 phones just to keep business and personal calls separate? Open Phone solves that instantly. Your whole team can share a number and respond to customers like a shared inbox. So you never miss a customer again. See why over 60,000 businesses trust Open Phone. They're offering Locked On listeners 20% off your first 6 months at openphone.com/lockedoncollege. That is openphone.com/lockedoncollege. They'll even port over your existing numbers for free. Open Phone, no missed calls, no missed customers. This episode is also brought to you by PrizePicks. It is the daily fantasy platform that allows you to turn your football predictions into rewards. Whether you've got your eye on big-name quarterbacks or breakout running backs, PrizePicks makes it easy to get in on the game. Maybe it's just the hard knocks, but as you've heard, I'm a pretty huge Josh Allen guy this season, and I think this may be the year for Buffalo finally. As somebody that lived through the 4 straight Super Bowls thing, it would be kind of cool to see the Buffalo Bills finally get them. PrizePicks puts their members first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. So download the PrizePicks app today and use the code LOCKEDONCollege, all one word, to get $50 in lineups after you play that first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONCollege to get $50 off in lineups if you play $5 on PrizePicks. PrizePicks, run your game. All right, today on Ole Miss Trivia, we are talking about Ole Miss season openers on August 30th. Yeah, that's a specific question. Ole Miss started the season on August 30th twice this century. Name the year of both games and name the most memorable play from either of the games. If you can do that, put your answer down in the comments below. We will put out the answer a little bit later on today on social media. So thank you for making the Locked On Ole Miss podcast your go-to source for Ole Miss sports. We pride ourselves on offering the most comprehensive perspectives, which is why we are the front door of Ole Miss. So don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. It helps the show, and it is totally free. Your support means the world to us. For a second listen, check out the Portal Show. Brian Smith has the latest rumors, portal entries, and signings. Be the most informed fan on the rapid changes to college football's landscape. Find the Portal Show on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. Hotty toddy, everyone, and remember, analytics is just the old English word that means bad football. We'll see you tomorrow.